Madam Chairperson of the Executive Board, Madam Director General, dear colleagues. I consider it a great privilege and an even a greater responsibility to address today such a large number of member states who strive to dialogue and find grounds for cooperation in an era in which multilateralism continues to be increasingly questioned and sometimes attacked. If we lose faith in the multilateral system, if we go back to isolationism, protectionism, to an international system without rules, we can only be all dragged towards the abyss. What is the alternative? Without neglecting the imperative need to reform and improve the multilateral system, it is to reaffirm above all the role of organizations, especially like UNESCO, as universal and essential platform for building peace. And peace cannot be the mere absence of war, much less the triumph of the strongest. Ourselves, the member states of UNESCO, reiterated in 2023 with the adoption of the revised recommendation on education for peace and human rights that peace does not only require the absence of conflicts, but the lasting removal of their causes. UNESCO was created for this purpose 8 years ago, and today each of us must work within this board with a very clear idea of a task that is constantly renewed over time despite everyday challenges. We cannot lose sight of the role of the Executive Board in upholding our common interests and responsibilities, and we must bear in mind the strategic role that this body must always assume. It is with this belief that Italy has decided to be a candidate for another mandate in the Executive Board in 2027-31. We trust this organization, and we intend to renew our concrete commitment to an always more effective UNESCO. Very soon, we will contribute in this direction in the culture sector through the organization in June of the second Naples Conference on Cultural Heritage in the 21st century. The spirit of Naples intends to reiterate the role of culture as a global public good, the importance of promoting the variety of cultural expressions, the resilience of cultural heritage in the face of climate change, as well as the commitment to a more representative and balanced World Heritage List through strengthening capacity building, like we started to do a few weeks ago in Zimbabwe through a mentoring support program for 30 African countries organized by the Italian National Heritage School and ICROM and funded by the Italian Ministry of Culture. All our reflections and commitments will represent also our contribution to the success of the next Mondial Cult Conference in September in Barcelona. In the scientific sector, we aim to creating an even stronger UNESCO scientific hub in Trieste, pooling together with the ICTP and to us also the World Water Assessment Program, in order to create virtuous synergies and economies of scale for UNESCO's action on the ground in emerging countries and in the definition of a consistent strategy on the greatest geopolitical challenge of the 21st century, the planet's water resources. In the educational sector, we hope to work increasingly closely with UNESCO for the empowerment of higher education in Africa, within the framework of the Mattei Plan for Africa, launched last year by the Italian government. Italy, which has accompanied UNESCO in its most significant programs from Afghanistan to Lebanon, from Palestine to Iraq, is ready to take on new challenges, such as the one that we hope it could soon arise in Syria, in the process of pacification and reconstruction, if an inclusive political process that guarantees the fundamental freedoms of all Syrians will be implemented. We will also continue to support initiatives in Ukraine. In July, Rome will host the Ukraine Recovery Conference, in which the international community will be able to reiterate its commitment to a just and lasting peace and lay the foundations for a full reconstruction of Ukraine, also in UNESCO's domains of competence. This context pushed us to find also new means to put UNESCO really at the center of the international stage. On the one hand, offering innovative and global responses in terms of ideas and strategies, and on the other, providing concrete answers on the ground, bringing a real added value to societies around the world through education, science, culture, and information. Dear colleagues, if we want to be ambitious, the issue of financial resources will be a crucial one to be addressed by this board, and we need to do so in a constructive and shared way. Mutual trust between Secretariat and Member States is essential. We need the full transparency to understand the overall context and to know which are the credible perspectives in the face of different possible scenarios. We also need the more intersectoral programs to eliminate silo effect and redundancies. Also, in the allocation of resources, it's important to privilege implementation of programs and activities in the field containing as much as possible administrative cost. All this is becoming essential to preserve the credibility and the actual margins of action of the organization, and therefore to continue to attract further voluntary funding. We have also to promote a more sound partnership with the private sector, like the very conducive one we are experiencing in Venice in the field of ocean literacy, thanks to the active and prolonged involvement of a primary Italian industrial champion. At the same time, Member States have the duty to be far-sighted and to think strategically, leaving aside micromanagement. We must be able more often to focus on the successes of an organization that has been able to multiply the flow of voluntary contributions in recent years, showing a renewed trust by Member States. In conclusion, Italy is convinced that UNESCO must see the challenges it faces as a precious opportunity to display its renewed relevance, playing an even more effective global role in education, science, culture, and information, proving that this organization still possesses all the ingredients, the expertise, and the passion to build together a future of peace. Thank you.